Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Portrait of Pirates Playback Memories Trafalgar lore from the series One Piece. Now the Playback Memories line for the POPs are a new sort of line, like it's sort of recent in the last 2 to 3 years, of pre-time skip characters, but done with today's sort of figurine manufacturing and quality. Because a lot of the older figures just really do not hold up, especially with a series as long-running as One Piece. So a lot of the earlier POPs just didn't look that great. But the Playback Memories line is basically a way to make modern versions of pre-time skip characters. And today we're looking at Trafalgar lore. Now, I don't know that much about him, just because where I am in the manga, he's only made one appearance in the Subodi archipelago, but that's also what this figure is based on. It's based on his very first appearance in the franchise. And I am aware that lore plays a decently large role in the series as a whole, especially because he is a fan favorite. So I've seen plenty of figures of him, seen little snippets here and there, and basically I thought this figure would look nice. Now I did get this pre-owned, and there are some very minor paint errors on it because of that, but I don't think it's enough to really ruin the figure at all. And yeah, we might as well just get right into it. So like most of the Portrait of Pirates lines, it's a fairly simple box. It's just a main clear window and a promo image on the side. It's got plenty of branding on the box. There's the POP, there's the Playback Memories line, there's the Excellent Model Limited, which is also synonymous with this brand, there's the Mega House logo, there's the One Piece logo, there's the Toy Animation seal sticker, then there's the actual branding of Trafalgar Law's name. There's just a lot going on. Along the box there is a sort of leopard-ish print, sort of embossed on the box. I think it's to imitate the design that's on Law's hat, and I guess is somewhat synonymous with him. And I think that the images on the back of the box that are done in sort of like a swirling circle, I think that's meant to imitate his shambles ability, I think. And there's also the tattoo and his Jolly Roger on the back of the box, which is pretty cool. So the box has a bit of personality, even though it is quite simple with just promo images scattered throughout. But what we're interested in is what's inside the box. So taking him out of the box and with some pretty basic assembly, I don't know if you'd really call it assembly, it's just you place Law on top of the box and you place the katana on the box leaning up against him. Like nothing plugs in, it's all just like resting there. So there's no correct way to do it, but I'm trying to do it as close to the promotional material as I can. But regardless, it looks very nice. And again, this is to imitate his very first appearance in the manga. It's just this sort of wide-legged, man-spreading sort of pose. And for Law, it works quite well. I know that this pose has sort of been memed because of the One Piece is real, but it is still really cool, and it's nice that they did a figure based on this, because I think his pre-time skip design is quite striking. I think it's the bold colors, the unique look, and the very unique hat and strange length katana, because I would say it's a bit longer than you'd be accustomed to in One Piece. And I think that his entire look is quite unique, especially his tattoos. That's also another pretty striking feature about him. And I think it was worth exploring them making a new figure of him based on his original appearance. So going through the basic sculpt, I like the posing, I like all of the small details. There's a lot of sculpted in work here. There's a lot of folds in his outfit based on the pose. It feels very natural, nothing really looks that awkward. And I say natural in a sense of this is an anime character, so of course he's got very long arms and very long legs, as is true to most One Piece characters. So they've captured that style quite well. Even though it is a 3D object based on a 2D image, it reads as a One Piece character from basically every angle, which is quite good. I like that quite a bit. And even simple things like the detail on the wooden box that he's sitting on. They put so much work into this box when they really didn't need to. There's a lot of etched in detail, and it's very meticulously crafted. And the same can be said for practically everything else. There's just so much work put into this figure. Even the way his fingers cross over each other looks very, very natural. It's just very, very good. And taking a closer look at his head, you can see how his hat carefully rests on his head, and it looks very, very natural. Some of these Portrait of Pirates figures I've noticed when they have hats, usually if it's a removable hat, in this case it's not removable, but usually when there's a removable hat, it doesn't look that good. And in particular, a lot of the Luffy figures, I feel like the hat is too big or doesn't sit right. It's just a bit awkward, and it's all in service of a gimmick. So I'd rather they do something like this where the figure is wearing the hat and that is it. There's no option for it. But yeah, everything about the sculpt is pretty good. The only real minor nitpick I have are the sort of little tassels hanging off his hoodie. They're sort of shifted into one side, like leaning towards the right. And that's not really a problem because it is a flexible material, so you can just bend it back. But its sort of default pose is going to the right, even though I know that they're meant to point straight down. So it's just a weird little nitpick. Nothing too crazy, but it's a little strange. In terms of paintwork, this figure is incredible. Again, I did get this pre-owned, so I was expecting some errors, especially since they highlighted them in the images when I ordered it, but they're really, really not noticeable at all. The most I can get is there's a bit of a sort of scuff mark on his left knee, and it's not that noticeable. It's more like a shift in the finish where it's meant to be sort of a matte finish. It looks sort of satin or semi-gloss, and that's not really a deal breaker at all, and you don't notice it most of the time anyway. I thought there would be way more glaring issues, but really I can't see anything. The paint is just absolutely perfect. All of the detail on his hat is just fantastic. The finishes, the polka dot look fantastic. His skin tone is great. They've shaded him throughout. He looks like a premium figure. The shading on his skin looks great. The little earrings are detailed very nicely. His facial hair is done well. His eyes are printed on pretty much perfectly. And his jacket is, again, very, very nicely coloured and painted. The Jolly Roger on his chest looks good, and the tattoos on his hands are especially fantastic. Now, those were most likely decals, where they were just applied and set on the figure, but they were applied perfectly. And even if they are decals, it's still super impressive that they're able to get the DEATH on each of his fingers. Very, very hard to do something like that. And like whether it was done by machine or not, it's still an impressive feat. All of the paintwork on his pants are nice. I like the polka dot sort of aesthetic as well. Looks really nice. The shading on the pants is good as well. I like the high gloss on his shoes. Really brings that together, even though it is a very simple design. I think that works quite well in his favor. His katana's sheath looks really nice. It's a pretty simple look, but I think it fits him quite well. And I do like the sort of consistency among the character with the crossguard of the sword sort of being as fluffy as his hat. I like that. And yeah, there's just really no real issue with the figure. I was expecting issues, I was told there were issues, but it's really nothing, especially as a scale figure. Usually I'm more critical of things like that, but it really does not affect my opinion of this at all. Now, one of the other things about this figure is because he's resting on the box, he's effectively a noodle stopper figure. So you can take him off, rest him on a desk, or rest him on a desktop somewhere. Different sort of variable items of different heights. You have him resting on books, resting on your manga, resting on your cup noodle. Basically, if he can fit on it, it's an option. And I think that's kind of funny And I guess you could, if you were going to go down that route, you could use the box for something else as well, because again, it's too well done for this. I feel like you didn't need to make the box that good. There's no reason to make the box that good. I know that the figure as a whole is good, and if you had a crap box, you'd probably notice it, but it feels like the box is almost on par with the figure itself, which is a bit awkward. There are no real gimmicks with this figure. I guess you could use it as a noodle stopper is a gimmick, or you could put the katana in different ways, different areas. You can have it resting on the box, resting it to the side of the box, wherever you really want to put it. But I wouldn't really call any of that a gimmick. This is a very simple static figure, and it achieves everything it needs to do very simply. And it's just good. I do quite like Trafalgar Law from what I've seen, and it's good because if I know that he'll be in it for quite a bit, so I might as well like him. So if I like him right out of the gate, it helps. I've seen a lot of his figures as well. He's got a pretty good design and a pretty consistent design, even though his outfit does change, which I think is quite good, and I think that says a lot about One Piece designs as a whole, that they can change their outfits or their looks in general, and it's still pretty consistent with the character. So I like that. And hopefully soon we'll be looking at another Trafalgar Law figure, because I do quite like his time skip design, and it'd be nice to have a quick look at something like that. Who knows what month it might be, given how much my backlog is. It might end up being in November. And last year's November was a bit interesting. I did have a rough theme on that one. Who knows if the theme will return this time or not. But only time will tell. But I'm getting away with the topic here. The Playback Memories Trafalgar Law is a very solid figure. If you really like the pre-time skip design, this is pretty much the definitive figure of that. And I don't see any issues with the figure at all. I really like the Playback Memories line, and I'd love them to go back and do all of the Straw Hats. They're sort of doing bit by bit here or there. They're doing characters in different styles, like Nico Robin's Playback Memories was Miss All Sunday, which I think is cool because Nico Robin doesn't get a lot of figures like that anyway. Usopp's is the Soge King figure, which is very cool. Nami's was during the sort of Arlong Park or pre-Arlong Park sort of look, and that's cool. There is a pre-time skip Zora, but he's not part of the Playback Memories line, but that one looks quite good as well. I believe Luffy's getting a POP with Ace, but that's not a Playback Memories, but it might as well be. So it'd be nice if they sort of do everyone, or at least do a few characters in the Playback Memories line that we're sort of missing out on or don't get enough figures of. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.